Welcome to the Zoom L12 tutorial, simple tutorial, part 5. And this is going to be a very short presentation. Basically, you're going to get a couple of things going. Number one, I wanted to say hello, introduce myself, because most of the other tutorials that I've done, you can only see my hands and listen to my voice. So I want to introduce myself. I'm Raul, and I started doing these tutorials per request of a friend of mine. And it turned out that a lot of people seem to be interested in it, and so I enjoy doing them. So I'm going to finish doing them. This one that I'm doing right now is going to be basically things that I forgot to mention in the past 4. I'm talking about the L12, the Zoom L12 board. And then I'm going to also tell you what my plans are for the next few tutorials I'm going to do, because I started out with the board, but I want to now put the board into its full use along with the computer, a digital audio workstation, so we can actually mix the things that we recorded on the board, and we can actually then make master mixes and even do a final product. So I want to take you, and I know that these, you have to remember, these tutorials are meant for beginners, people who are just getting started, people who are interested in recording their own music at home. They're on a budget and they're learning. And since I've been doing it for a little while, I'm not an expert, but I get it done, and we get some decent sounds. I like to invite you to come into our channel and listen to all the recordings that we have there. All kinds of music, world music, anything, Latin music, some recordings, old recordings of mine playing with old groups that I've had. So I invite you to come in, enjoy, and I will try to help those of you who are looking for help to getting started to recording at home and having fun. I gotta tell you, my experience, it's a lot of fun. It's, you know, not easy. There's a lot of challenges, but in life, you have to meet the challenges. And so I'm gonna try to help you get through it and get you to a point where you're recording your own music and maybe even posting them to YouTube, okay? So tune in and welcome. All right, let's get to it. Some of the things that I forgot to mention and some of the questions that have been asked that I'm trying to hope to answer and clear up about the board. And I think the one that I get the most is, what about the effects? Can we record using the onboard effects that come with this board? Okay, the answer is straight no. You cannot record using these effects directly into each tracks that you will be recording into your recorder. Now, the effects and the EQ are used for monitoring. So when you're recording a track, if you're a vocalist, you're recording the track and you like to hear yourself with reverb or effects, you can set the reverbs here, Hall, whatever you pick. You can set your EQ on your mic so you sound good on your headphones. Okay, and then you can sing your track, do whatever you want. The track that is being recorded into individual tracks will not have effects. That is not a bad thing, at least from my point of view, because the effects that come with the board are nice and they sound good, they're decent, but if you transfer your recordings onto a digital audio recorder, and you got a good one and you got some plugins, okay, you then will be able to pick whatever effect you like, work with it, use more than one effect, do whatever you want to that track or not, because it'll be a clean track. If you were to be able, if this board allowed you to record directly to the recorder with the effects that come with the board and the EQ, well, maybe you put too much effect and you recorded a great track, but you had a little too much effect, or you had taken too much bass off, or You know, you're better off recording straight, clean tracks than moving it over to your digital audio workstation and then there do what you call a post-production, start working on how you would like to add effects to that track and mix it or whatever. But while you're recording, you can listen to the effects from the track. Now, the other thing you could do, which I showed in one of my other tutorials, is once you've recorded all your tracks, you can then mix those tracks into the master channel and actually record a stereo, a high quality stereo track of your mix. And this mix will include the EQ and effects that you have, because it'll record anything that you're monitoring. It will go straight into your master track, and then you will have a track on board in the recorder on your SD card. You will have a stereo track of your mix along with your effects. Now, what you have to do after that, because it'll be a nice wave file, if you want to make MP3 files, if you want to send it to someone, you still have to take it from the board, either transfer it directly to the computer from the board or take the little card out, put it in your computer, and then copy and paste your tracks. You still have to put it into a DAW, and you still have to convert it maybe to MP3s or, you know, whatever format you're going to be using. So at the end of the day, this board can record with effects to a stereo track, but not the individual tracks. I hope this answers your question. To me, that's a good thing, because I never record directly on the recorder with the onboard effects. Now, you could use your pedals, or you could use an outboard effect, and then when you go straight into the track, if you're really happy with that effect, you can record to the track with your effects from the outboard, from your pedals, from whatever you have, okay? But the effects that come with the board cannot be recorded on the individual tracks. Mainly, I think that's one of the biggest questions that I've been getting. And there'll be, let me look at a couple more, and I'll be right back. Okay, the next thing that I forgot to mention is the scene, this section here, which is for scenes, okay? What is a scene? This is a computer, and what happens is you're able to record some of the settings that you have on the board onto one of these scenes, and you get all the way up to 9 different scenes that you can record, and it'll remember the volumes, the levels of your faders. It will remember your EQing and your effects, okay? So you can save it onto a scene and recall it later on. What do you need that? Well, remember, this board has several uses. One of the uses that it has, it's a PA board, just a standard PA board. So let's say that you have a small combo that you play with, and you take this board and use it as a PA, and you have different venues that you go to once or twice a month, and you go back to them, whatever. When you set up your board at the club, at the venue, wherever event you are, and you work with it and you fine tune the tuning for the room, you know, like maybe there's a room that's got a lot of glass, maybe there's a room that's just tight, and you make changes to your microphones and your levels, and everybody's happy with those changes. Well, if you were to go to another room, another venue next week, and you change all the settings, when you go back to that one, you have to start from scratch and start all over again. Not so with the scenes. With the scene, once you're happy with your mix, you're happy with your EQ, each individual channel, you can actually then save that scene and then a month later you go back to that same club, you don't have to start from scratch. You recall the scene where you saved all your settings, and it will actually bring it back on the board. That will save you a lot of time. I think that's a good thing. And it's easy to do. Once you have your settings, you put your EQ however you want it for whoever you're using it. You make your changes for all of it. You come here, you turn on the scenes, you go save. The ones that are blinking are the ones that are open. I have already saved the first 3 and number 9. So if you wanted to save what you have here, you just put it on number 4, and now it's saved. So now you can recall those settings, those EQs, and those volumes. You can actually recall them when you get to the gig, and you don't have to start over. Now, the only thing I tell you, write it down, because you have numbers, but a month from now, what number was it that I used? Well, just make yourself a little note and say, okay, in the Club 95, I made these settings and I saved it to scene 4. Okay? And if you were, for example, I have a scene set up where I clear all my EQing and everything, and then if I want to kind of like reset the board, I just turn on the scene, I go recall, and now all the ones that are saved will be blinking, telling me that I have information in these blinking lights. I have my reset scene in number 1, so I would hit number 1, boom, and everything comes back. As you saw, everything changed. Everything comes back to the way I had it before. Now the scene will not remember your gain buttons, because these are analog, these are not digital, it won't be remembered. It will remember, it won't remember your compressors either, okay? But it will remember your EQ, your effects, your panning, and your balances. So it's really useful when you're playing. You don't have to start over again. You get there and you say, okay, boom, like we did before. Recall, I'm going to recall now, and I had saved it to number 4. So when I click 4, you'll see everything changes, you see? So that is a very useful function, and I forgot to mention it. They're called scenes. You have to have the scene on, and you can reset the whole board from here, or you can just save those scenes and recall them. You can either save them or recall them for use later. Very useful if you're gigging. It can be useful also for in-house if you're recording, like for example, if you record drums and you have like the first, or track number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for drums, and you have all your settings set up and your balances, and you know exactly how you want them. But then you have another rehearsal later on and you don't use the drums so much and you change it, you can always just recall the scene so you can have the settings the way you had them, okay? Now, again, I want to mention the gains will not be recalled. So these, I would now, with the phones nowadays, I would either take a picture of your favorite settings or write them down, okay? I hope those helped. All right, a little bit about the board. This is something that I mentioned before, but I'll mention again. This board has 3 functions. The first function, I'm going to say the first one, is a recorder. It's a standalone recorder. It comes with a built-in recorder. We've talked about it. It's a digital recorder. It records high-quality audio. It's got some pretty decent analog to digital preamps that will record into your recorder. And you can get some really nice, clean sounds. You can take it anywhere because it's pretty portable. So you can record here, you can record at your gig, you can record at somebody's rehearsal. I used to take it to the drummer's house, and we used to record the drums and the bass and the guitar all at once. And then later on, I do some overdubs. So it's a great recorder. All the features are in my tutorials. You've seen it, and it's really easy to use. It's a nice quality recorder. That's the number one. Number two is a digital audio interface. What does that mean? It means that I can plug this recorder to my computer directly using a USB cable, and I can record. Instead of recording to the little recorder that comes with the board, I can record directly into my computer's DAW or digital audio workstation, which can record as many tracks as your computer will allow. And that's very handy, and it's great, and it has a great sound. It's easy to use. The drivers are great. I use PC, so I can only speak for PC, but for PC it works beautifully. I record all the tracks direct to the computer, and it works really well doing that. And then the third function is a PA board. So you have a board that you can take to the gig, and you can actually, if you connect a couple of powered speakers, it'll sound great. You can work all the way. You got 12 channels that you can use. If you have a small combo, if you want a bigger combo, you put a little more money and buy the L20, which has 20 channels and more monitors. This for monitoring for PA is great. It's got two monitors that you can go direct, and it's a different, you can get a different mix because it'll be mix A as opposed to the master mix that goes directly to your speakers. So you can have two monitors plugged in, and if you wanted more, you can experiment and use the headphone out and plug into some speakers. The levels might not be as ideal, but you can work with it. It'll work. So 3 settings: the PA, digital audio interface, and the recorder. So that's what this board does. For 650 bucks, you're getting a pretty decent deal. What I'm going to do, what I plan to do now, is I want to talk, and not today, but I'm going to have some other tutorials where I'm going to talk about using the board as a digital audio interface to record your whole project. And I'm going to recommend a good digital audio workstation that's free. Plus, I'm going to help you a little bit as to what you need in terms of a computer. Okay, we're going to talk about what we need in terms of a computer. Nowadays, most computers are pretty strong. You have a lot of capacity, but I will give you the lowest ideal setup for you to purchase if you don't already have one, a computer, and the digital audio workstation that works for free. And we can talk about recording from the very beginning all the way to making a mix and even a master. Okay, and I hope that you will tune in and enjoy. I'm going to be doing those soon. If you have other questions, I welcome all your comments and your questions. I have fun doing this, so I don't mind. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you come visit our channel, because the Sugarcane Rush channel is really all the recordings that I have done with my friends and my projects throughout the years, and some of it, or a lot of it, using this board, some of them in different studios and different setups, but there's a lot of music, and I would love for you guys to look at and look at the videos, listen to the music, comment on the songs also, subscribe. Let's get this channel going, and I look forward to doing more stuff. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for listening.